I'm Tom Marchesello. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and we run OriginClear Tech and make products for the water treatment industry. So OriginClear made a pivot because we saw that the markets were changing. There was a need out there. So especially our small, mid-sized, corporate clients, they struggle sometimes with cash flow and the need to buy capital equipment. Capital equipment's expensive. You got to buy a machine that's not some expense that you really want to lay out a bunch of cash for. And there weren't great financing programs from the bank anymore because the bank wasn't lending. So we looked at it and said, we hear you. You want my machine, but you need some financial method of getting it out there. So, that got into leasing programs and renting programs. And those are always available for people, But then there's different programs which say, wait a minute, why don't you just sign the dotted line here and receive a subscription, kind of model where you just pay for it incrementally as you go. So that becomes DBOO, which is design, build, own, operate. So it's a business model where OriginClear can execute saying, we're already very good at design and build. And then we are now willing to own the machine. And all we're going to do is deploy it at the customer site. And then we'll operate it, which is the last piece. And when we operate something, we intend to operate that piece of equipment for 10 to 25 years on site, which is pretty cool, right? So now I'm basically going to take, instead of receiving a lot of money up front in one time, one quarter, I'm just going to stretch out receiving my money now over 10, 20 years, all the time. The reason why that's good for me is because now I build a new income stream and I get to layer my returns over time. And I get to actually get a better return on that initial piece of equipment because I'm basically managing the full life cycle of it. And I can work with internal staff to handle it, or I can place it in the field and work with partners in local jurisdictions to do some field servicing. And over time, we just continue to receive, benefit from it, and we continue to operate a network of machines that get deployed. So that's really where the model is going, is to say, let's make this easier for everybody. Now, DBOO had traditionally only been deployed by very large corporations like the General Electric, Suez, Veolia, somebody big at that level, who was doing $1 million to $10 million projects at really large municipal production facilities and or power plants or large sites like that. We're coming into saying, hey, you can do DBOO, but you can do it at the small, mid-sized level where our machines go out. Now, instead of doing 1 million gallons systems as that, you can start doing 10,000 gallon systems, and they can be really affordable for people. And so, case in point, we have like a bunch of different sites, but we'll use one of the markets. One was in the real estate community, where basically the real estate operators, whether they're managing a community of properties, needs to put on-site wastewater treatment. These are perfect ways of, they're already making rent and lease money, so for them to pay for a piece of equipment as a monthly bill is more efficient for them to rather than have a big CapEx up front. Let's assume here's a machine that has a certain amount of cost value, so I got to pay for the machine to put it out on the world, right? So after the machine is paid for, now we're really just talking about operating it. How much does it cost me to operate this thing? I've got a piece of machinery sitting at the brewery that I need to just come through, make sure it's clean, replace some filters, come through and make sure it's managed, so I'm remote monitoring it. I have a piece of software, I'm watching it. So I'm gonna pay for all that basically to maintain this thing. So that's my cost, right? So let's assume that's some amount of money per month. Now the rest of it is just the cost of the water coming through in profitability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that pure net and I'm going to split it between our company and the investors, because the investors are fundamentally supplying money to get a return. So it's a subscription to water. I subscribe to get clean water, just like I subscribe to get Netflix right now, movies on demand. Now I'm going to get water on demand. I just want the water. I don't want to pay for the machine. I just want to pay for the water. Now granted, you probably could have bought the machine for 100 grand flat or 200 grand flat, but you'll probably pay 300 or 400 grand for the machine now, technically via paying for the water instead. But it's still a win-win for everybody, because CapEx, they don't have to spend money out of their operating budget, and we make more money fundamentally over time, so we just basically, by offsetting time, I make more money.